Thank you for joining me for this episode of God Talk. And I want to talk to you in this episode about, are you sure you heard what you heard? Are you able to distinguish between reality and fantasy, if you will, or things that aren't real? I had an interesting experience playing tennis this morning. I was playing just a little bit before the sun was starting to come up. And as I was out there hitting the ball, I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of crickets out here and they're loud. And I thought it was a little unusual because for me, you normally are used to hearing like crickets like as the sun's going down, not just before the sun is going up. But I mean, it wasn't like sunrise yet. So I was assuming that I was probably hearing crickets. But where the story is just a little weird is that, like, well, I kind of hear crickets all the time. About 6 weeks ago, I developed when you have a constant sound that goes on in your either ear or ears. And that sound can be like a high-pitched ringing. It can be a humming. For some people, it's a hissing. Others, it's a buzzing. Others, it's like cicadas. Well, for me, it's like sometimes like it's more of like a cross between a hissing and a ringing. But more times than not, especially like at night when it's quiet, for me, it sounds like that rhythmic sound of the noise that crickets make at night. And so it's called tinnitus, and I guess a certain amount of old people, when you get old, develop that in their ears. There's really nothing that can be done for it, and it is a little bit annoying because, well, in the case of me this morning, I wasn't sure if I was hearing crickets or if it was just this make-believe sound that's going on in my ears all the time. And I didn't want to ask the guy I was playing tennis, like, are you hearing crickets? I mean, if I was going to guess, I think I was, but I couldn't really tell the difference. Similarly, but yet differently, I had another issue or situation happen a few days ago where I heard something that I wasn't sure if I heard it or not. I was sleeping out in the living room on the recliner, and it's about 2:40 in the morning, and I hear the sound of my dog having a dream or a nightmare, whimpering and whining, and it woke me up. And I would say about 30 seconds after that woke me up, I heard someone call my name. It was very clear to me, Greg. In fact, it was a familiar sound. But when it happened, I remember thinking, wait, was that real? Did I just really hear that? Because even though it sounded real, it almost sounded like it happened in my head. And so, I mean, it's 2:40 in the morning, and there's no reason to think, anyone was calling my name. So I just kind of sat there and just listened for the next 10 or 15 minutes to find out what's going on. See if any like crazy things start happening, like things flying off the shelves or something like that. But, nothing else happened. But I'm fairly certain I heard my name, but I'm not completely sure, even though I was awake. It's weird sometimes that like you can hear things that might not even be real. And how do you determine what is real and what is not real? And I think in the world in which we live, like that's just becoming an ever increasing problem. Is like, how do you know when something's real and something isn't? When people send me things from X, used to be Twitter. Twitter for the most part is it's designed to kind of get people angry and work people up and incite, emotions at, people that are stupid or different than you or what have you. And I have to tell you, for the most part, when I'm sent things, I just kind of dismiss them because I know it's so easy to fake things with, virtual reality and so forth that, it doesn't matter if it's an image of whatever. Like, listen, you can just tell a computer to create an image of whatever you want, and it'll look like the real thing. I mean, I remember years ago, just how they're able to do that with people's voices. I was listening to this ordinary-looking guy talk in a voice that is identical to Tom Cruise. I mean, that was years ago, and so the technology has only improved. So, how do you know when someone's passing along something to you from Facebook or Twitter or whatever that it's even real, that it's not fake, that someone didn't just make it up to try to incite people? What is real and what is not? Those emails that you get, right? I mean, it'll be from Charter Spectrum, it'll be from Bank of America, whatever, and so that they're not real when you don't have those services. But every so often, you have one of those services, and it's telling you to contact them because your account has been changed or compromised or something like that. When it's something that you actually have services in, how do you know if that's real? Or how do you know if that's someone phishing, basically trying to get you to call and they're going to scam you by getting your information? How do you determine what is real and what is not? Spiritually speaking, it's a similar problem. If you think back to the Garden of Eden, you've got Adam and Eve, and you've got God telling Adam and Eve to not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because if they eat of it, they'll die. And then you've got Satan, who's this fallen but powerful, glorious, impressive angel that tried to take the throne from God, but instead got kicked out of heaven. You've got Satan telling Eve, God said that you're going to die. You're not going to die. It's just that he doesn't want you to be like him. He doesn't want you to know the difference between good and evil. So how does she know who's right and who's wrong in that situation, especially when Satan can, we're told in Scripture, even masquerade himself as an angel of God, an impressive angel of light? It can be really hard to determine, as we go through life, what is real and what is not. There's so much false noise and so much distraction. Satan's able to distort how we see and how we perceive life. Have you ever had an email where you go and you read an email or a text message and it's like your initial reading of it, it sets your blood to a boil? And then you go back and you're trying to read it to someone else to just tell them how offended you are. And when you go back and look at it and read it again, they're like, that didn't sound that bad. And as you read it, it doesn't sound that bad. Why is it that it sounds really bad the first time you read it, and then the second time you read it, it doesn't? It's because I think Satan has the ability to distort how we hear things. He does that all the time, and just how we understand even what is right and what is wrong nowadays. You have people chanting in Michigan, "Death to America," and for some people, they're like, these are oppressed people, and there's reasons why they're saying that, and that seems right to them. We have things, not just the LGBTQ and the transgender, but pretty soon we're going to be in Pride Month, and we're going to be celebrating all kinds of sexual dysfunction, and what was always seemed wrong is now right. But I'd like to point out to people too that it's easy to always go to those kind of extremes, but according to the Bible, drunkenness is wrong, but we think it's fine as long as you Uber. I mean, as long as you're just being responsible about it, right? And so Satan has the ability to help us to cause us to see life incorrectly, to see right incorrectly, where we redefine what right is, to see wrong incorrectly, that we redefine even what wrong is. When we're only seeing one side of things, and we do this politically all the time, we do this with our friends, we do this with our coworkers that we like, well, we'll see the side of the people we like. If we like someone, it's kind of like that adage, love is blind. You overlook things for people that you like. And so, like, we hear things wrong. We distort reality. Someone that we like can get away with saying something that we wouldn't allow anyone else to say, and someone else, might say, "Hey, nice job on that." And you're like, "What you say to me?" And you just kind of have a chip on your shoulder because you just hear it the wrong way. Because we have biases, and I mean, I have this happen to me all the time when I play soccer. Right? Earlier this week, my game on Monday, I'm running up the field, and I've got some guy that just takes my legs out from behind me, and I'm about ready to like pummel this guy because, like, you know what? From my perspective, he wasn't even going for the ball, and he was just trying to take my legs out. And it's a good way to break someone's legs when you come up behind them when they're in a full run and take their legs out. But I don't know. I mean, maybe he was trying to go for the ball, but I didn't see it that way at the moment. And then I was playing last night, and like I picked up a ball, I'm goalie, and like some guy comes and just hits me fairly firm on my back like a second or two after I pick up the ball, and I'm like, yeah, I think he's got beef with me. And I made note of his number, and I was hoping I was going to get a chance to maybe take him out sometime later for, kind of pushing me, a little rough in the back. But who knows? Maybe, it was just a little, too much momentum going, and he wasn't able to kind of stop himself, and he bumped and made contact with me. I mean, I don't know. But I know that Satan has the ability to help us to see things the way that they really aren't, and to hear things the way that they aren't. And we always have to kind of be on our guard for that when we go through life. So I guess where I'm going with all of this is, like, what do you have going on in your life? What's your conflict? Is it possible that in your conflict you're not seeing things according to reality? That you need to give someone a benefit of the doubt or maybe a second chance? What about if you're looking at your life overly negatively? You might not be perceiving what's going on in your life properly. You might be seeing like everything from the negative side, and Satan skewing your perspective, and really what you think is negative might actually be a blessing from God. I just think, like, we have to be very careful about our biases, and to know that Satan has the ability to masquerade, to change what we're hearing, to hear things that really aren't even real. Kind of like the cricket sound in my ears all the time. God is a God of forgiveness, a God of compassion, a God of love, slow to anger. He abounds in love. Whatever you got going on in your life, whatever your situation is, know that Satan is trying to bring disharmony, disunity, anger, hatred, resentment, frustration, not only with yourself, but with the other people in your lives. And it's our job to make sure that we're really hearing things according to what reality is, rather than maybe certain thoughts or certain sounds or certain things that Satan's putting in our head that isn't really there after all. I appreciate you joining me for this episode of God Talk. God bless, and have a wonderful day.